that everybody has had a fantastic Christmas. It is now time for me to give my last blog of this year. This is the first full complete year now that I have done a blog every day of the week, for every week. That's 52 throughout this year. I don't know if that means anything to you, but to me it's quite encouraging. It's it's a milestone, I feel. Right. You might be able to hear I've gone down with a little bit of a cold. It's not too bad, to be totally honest, but it is making me cough a little bit. Now, where are we? Right, in this week's blog, it looks to be quite a short blog because there isn't much to say. We'll start with the prayers. I have only one prayer request this week, and that is for my sister's friend called Rob, who is out on deployment in Afghanistan. He's out with the British forces as a bomb disposal expert. And thus, on top of being in a war zone, he's also got an incredibly dangerous vocation on top of that. So let's just keep him in our thoughts and prayers. I believe he went out just before Christmas to keep the numbers there at the right level. Moving on. The big news this week has been that it's been Christmas, of course, and in fact there has been trouble in a number of places. We start with Pope Benedict the XVI. He, who was Cardinal Ratzinger, who was the head of the doctrine for the Congregation of the Faith, and I believe he was also Carmelengo to John Paul II. He has been Pope coming up, I think this is 2010, will probably be his 5th year, or the end of his 5th year, something like that. He is an ultra-conservative Pope. He would like nothing better than to reverse Vatican II and to return Rome to the powerhouse it was several centuries ago. He's done several things in the last sort of 2 weeks which have not been very good, which I thought I'd speak about if I haven't already. The first one was what he called an Apostolic Constitution. He went out to Africa to meet with all the Roman Catholic bishops out there, who of course have been hearing a lot lately from the disillusioned Anglicans in the Gospel Church, who boycotted the Lambeth Conference because of the way that the Episcopal Church have been behaving recently. The Anglican Communion stands on the brink of separation, and Rowan Williams, the Archbishop of Canterbury, is not doing very well in keeping control of things. It's really about homosexuals in the priesthood, it's about women in the priesthood. It has recently been about whether or not Sharia law should be implemented in this country, whether or not the church should be disestablished, all that sort of thing. And Pope Benedict has come back saying, oh, he has thought of a great ecumenical gift that will tie Romans and Anglicans closer together. What he has in fact suggested is that people, whole parishes, whole bishoprics, whatever, can turn to Rome, and they can keep various aspects of their own denominational spirituality, so they might be able to keep the prayer book and stuff like that. He says it's an ecumenical step. I say it's nothing but trying to cause the breakup of the Anglican Communion. He went on recently to put forward names. Well, the way it works is that there is a government department in the Vatican that submits to Benedict names for people who should be venerated. Really, that's an acknowledgement. The first stage of that is an acknowledgement by the Pope that they are of good character, I guess you could say. And beyond that, of course, they get beatification and then, you know, canonisation, and that's sainthood, really. The whole process takes about 100 years, depending on how easy it is to fulfil all the criteria. In 2007, a name was put forward to him, and he put it off a little bit and said, look, I'll have to think about it until next time. It's been resubmitted to him, and the name is Pope Pius XII. That may not mean a lot to any of us, but anybody who is an octogenarian or above will know of Pope Pius XII, because he was the evil pope who sided with Adolf Hitler during the Second World War, who was a Holocaust denier, etc., etc. And Pope Benedict has now acknowledged him publicly, changing his title, of course, now to the Venerable. And of course that has upset many of the Jewish community and many of the Roman Catholics, in fact, who know full well that courageous virtues is not something that was at all, should ever be applied to, you know, a pseudo-war criminal like that. Now, Pope Benedict was celebrating Christmas Eve midnight Mass, as usual, in St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. During the introit, some woman managed to jump over into the nave and knocked him over. It was in fact the same woman who tried to do a similar thing during his recessional last year at the same service but missed. The Pope is apparently okay, despite being 83 and despite having a fall. He was alright. And I don't wish harm on anybody, of course, but the first thought that went through my mind, of course, is that he is setting himself up for assassination attempts when he upsets people by, you know, condoning what appears to be somebody's actions who, you know, someone who has really been in league with the Nazis. Not to mention the fact, of course, his nationality is German. So I thought I'd mention that. For me, Christmas has been interesting. It's always nice to see the family, and we have seen everybody this year. But because there's a lot of things going on within my family, it's individuals within my family that are having, you know, life-changing things going on. You know, we've got a marriage that's getting prepared. We've got, you know, people moving in with each other, you know, in long-term relationships, that sort of stuff. I did have to say I felt a little bit like a spare part at times. Just merely because, of course, with me, nothing has changed, and nothing does change very, very often. And not until I get another job and have more money. In fact, if anything, things that were going well in 2008 are almost on a hold, really, in 2009, because until I get more money, I can't visit, you know, MMA shows, so I can't write about them, so I can't, you know, they can't be hosted online. That sort of stuff. I think I'll end now by saying that that my prediction videos for WEC and the next UFC will be up very shortly. There's also an announcement from Ed Herman. You can find him through my MySpace. He is doing a seminar on the 19th of January. If you're interested, look him up. Tim Boach, I think, is fighting for some sort of championship on January the 16th. Wasn't quite clear on what he was saying there. And Alan Belcher would like to know who wants to join him for a free 2-week training camp. It starts on January the 18th. I imagine that will be first come, first served and fully booked very quickly. So if you're interested, you better get on to him very quickly. So that is the last thing to announce. Of course, coming up this week is my sister Tiffany's birthday and New Year's Day. And next time I speak to you, we will be in, now I don't know if I'm going to call it 2010 or 2010 or what, but it will be the next year.